Okay. Well, I guess this is running even though I don't have the page for YouTube on, so that's good. Yeah, we just got started, got a chance to get a second one, and welcome. Welcome back, in your case. I think it's working even though it says 0 viewers. So, let's, I'm a little concerned about that. Let me do one change here. I started this the same way I did this morning, but somehow it is not behaving as it should. And well, here it says that I'm live. Oh, I'm going to need to go back. We need to edit this, and we need to add this, and done, and save. Okay, perfect. It shows that there's one viewer. Well, now there's two, but not on this other page. Now it shows one. Yeah, that's what happens with these free programs is, you get what you get and you don't get upset. Anyways, welcome back to the extravaganza of painting these Wallachian guys. So, this guy, where did we leave him off? Oh, we needed to do his bow case, a little bit of a belt, pants, and everything below the belt. Okay, fair enough. What color do we have in this one? Oh, we did that. Let's use this light color. Let's use one of these colors that I really like to use. Well, not the color as much as the paint. I'm a loss for, you know what? I've had enough of this. I'm backed into a corner here. Just go bye-bye. I should sell that as an art exhibit. I'll call it the 14th of September or something. Let's see, where are my papers? My papers. Harvey, welcome. Yet more from Aguilar Global Entertainment. Good evening. Yeah, it is evening for you. I could have had a much more productive day today because I kind of sat around waiting for something to happen and it never happened. And had I known that was the case, I would have just freaking painted all day. So, it's all good. Still better than a day at work. All right, let's see. When I did that in the middle of the morning, I went ahead and applied this stuff, and I re-wet this thing, and it's still plenty wet. The creases don't make a big deal, but I don't want to be distracted by them. Okay, there we have it. All right, let's get our old friends, Mr. Black and Mrs. White. Okay. Well, the one thing that is... Hey, Jules, welcome. I haven't seen you in a while. Or, well, I haven't seen you at all, but you know what I mean. Have I got many more to complete that army? Yeah, I got a whole bunch. You guys are going to get tired of seeing these Wallachian dudes. Let's get the white here. Come on. You could do it. Is it that old? I've only got 5 stands complete. So, I'm going to need to build, obviously, all 12. plus a second commander. So I want a knight commander and a cavalry commander. I'm not going to use, normally I would use the same one, but since one of them represents Wallachia and the other one represents Moldavia, the Moldavian being the knight general, that's 13 elements. Plus I'm going to make the fast horde and the artillery. So that's 2 more. So what is that? 15 plus the Polish allies. So 18 elements, and I've got 5 elements in. So we'll be here a while. So Aguilar's jungle jokes. I don't know about all that. Maybe if I was doing something in the jungle. Yeah, welcome back. Man, you guys are just sitting on the edge of your seat waiting to jump. Thanks for coming back. Always glad to have everybody back. I try to watch a couple of videos on how to improve little things on here. And I don't know. They just, you watch these videos and these guys are like brilliant how to use all these programs, right? And then you watch them and they're clicking on things way too quick. And it's like, geez. Well, I'm trying to watch it on my phone while I'm doing it on the computer. And didn't work. I put a widget on there for a subscriber, but if we see, you'll get a little icon thing on here. So if any of you guys are watching and aren't subscribed like you should be, it's unlikely. You wouldn't have jumped on as quick as you did. You might see a little graphic there. And but I'm just learning in its infancy, just learning how to use this program until it freaks out and I'll have to go to something else. Okay. We've got this little bit. This is what we're going to work with. All right, so let's do the bow case on this guy. Let's do the bow case. I haven't had any coffee today, so I'm just subsisting on tea. I could have used one, but... Oh, magic. Let's not forget the magic juices. The tears of lubrication. Again, that's not really something necessary. It just, I feel like it keeps the crud on the brush from building up as much, more than anything else. More than anything else. So this is the 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 4 of these guys complete. This is the 5th one. We got to finish this guy and 7 more, and then we won't have to paint any more skirmishers for this army. They have a lot of light troops. This is an army that can be used in an open, obviously. I think the Polish allies will help for that. They could be used in an open. They can be used in Saloy Silliness. They could be used in Wimp Wars. They could be used in Fast and Furious. Fast and Furious, if you guys don't know, that's one we've run recently where you can use cavalry and light horse, and then you can use fast warband, fast auxilia, all fast foot elements, but not fast blade. Be too powerful. So these guys would be Fast and Furious capable. Fast bow, they can have fast bow as well. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and just be lazy. And we're going to do the belt in the same color. But we're not going to bring it up one level. We're just going to go ahead and highlight from here. So it's going to be a kind of a different color than the rest of this. And I'm going to go up one more on the boat case. I'm going to give it a little bit more contrast versus the belt. See, we were here, right? No, we were here. This is where we ended up. All right, so let's add a little bit more white. And we're just going to highlight a little bit around here. Okay, now we got to do the fletching. Excess water there on the brush. I don't want that to drip on down at the wrong time. Now, it's unlikely we're going to go 3 hours now. This is just an opportunity to do maybe an hour's worth of painting or something like that. Hopefully. And go ahead and move that. Okay, so we got that. We've got pants. I have no idea what color pants I want to use for this guy. Let's make them white because I'm lazy and it's right here. The whole point is just give it some variety. All right, what do we got here? I did see that you became a subscriber to your own channel at the start of the video. No, that was testing a widget. And a widget is so I can put on here if somebody is a subscriber. That thing little comes up. So if somebody decides to subscribe while I'm online, which is not likely. But that's one of those widgets that they already had on there. That's all that was right there. I've been enjoying watching the DBA videos featuring Mitch's Achaemenid Persians. These were my first ancient army back in the days of WRG 4th. Wow, old school. Yeah, we did a great job the other day. He rolled really good and I rolled really bad. So a couple of battles it was pretty apparent that was the case. But you know, I've won games that way too, where my opponent rolled like crap and I rolled well. So it's all fun, folks. I don't know what we're going to do tomorrow, other than it's going to be filmed. We're going to leave the Achaemenid things. There's more battles to do. I just don't want to delve into a bunch of Greek and Persian stuff. We'll get to them eventually if you're interested in that, but that's going to be stuff that just Mitch and I are going to do on our own. We'll work our way through probably most of the enemies. Maybe not all of them, but most of them. We just... tomorrow I think we're going to do Blind General something or another. I don't know what it is. Scott should be joining us, but to be determined. I don't like to announce too many things too much because things just go sideways. Against my wishes, things go sideways. And it's not that I'm a control freak, but I have a job where I have to plan and things always go sideways and there's nothing I could do about it. I just got to grin and bear it. So I really don't want to bring some of that same annoyance to my personal life. So all right, now we got to do some strappings. We have no browns here. No browns are here in play. So let's go ahead and put one of these out there. I tried playing WRG a few games back, but the people teaching me the game were arguing with each other, and the rules seemed a bit too complicated. Yeah, arguing doesn't help. Understanding, for sure. People were arguing. You got to find other people. Just, I know some people like that, but what color is this? This is English uniform. Well, it's a bloody wet uniform, I can tell you that. There we go. It's a bloody white uniform. This is the base color that I use for the desert terrain, Mesopotamian terrain. And that was just a suggestion that was made on one of the Flames of War sites. The Flames of War site has a lot of good, useful utilities and stuff like that. Even though I don't play the game, I have played it. It's not made for me, and it doesn't really appeal to me. So, there's a bit of math involved, which put me off from it, if I remember correctly. That was well before my time. I'm not sure when that came out. Late 70s, early 80s. I remember I've played no miniatures that were during the time of WRG until I played DBA for the first time in 2004. So I just wasn't aware of it. Now, the one thing that does strike me kind of strange is before DBA, all the other WRG systems had a lot more troops. I mean, it's kind of obvious. DBA has the least amount of stands of pretty much anything. Least amount of figures to paint. And the time now is kind of prime for 15 millimeter figures because there's more manufacturers that were around back then than were around back then. So the strange thing is the manufacturers that were around back then, you needed a lot of figures for them. And generally, almost to a man, maybe with the exception of Essex, all those older manufacturers have one pose for figure. So you're going to have a huge army with a lot of figures that are all going to be the same pose of the same figure over and over and over again. And, you know, it's not a problem if you're like painting like Legionnaires or something like that. But if you're painting like irregular troops, that's kind of stink to have to, you know, paint so many figures and there's all the same castings. That would get old. But at the same time, there would be like irregular figures that you would have to, you know, to make them look right, they would just, you couldn't just use one pose. It wouldn't be right. I mean, even if you changed all the clothing and stuff, they still have they're still holding the same pose. They still have the same hairstyle, you know. The list goes on. So I thought that was really odd that way back in the day when all of those when you were required to buy all those figures and paint them for these very large armies, there were all the manufacturers, almost to a man, had only one pose in the figures. Like, I don't think that would have appealed to me, even had I played it. But I wasn't avoiding Ancients and Medievals, just nobody played it. You know, when you're younger, and really, when there's no internet, okay, and most of my gaming, well, now it's probably 50-50, but a lot of my gaming had no internet at the same time. You kind of have to play whoever shows up at the hobby store to put a game on, or, you know, word of mouth, or you go to a show. I went to a gaming convention in my first one in 1991, and probably went to like 2 in that year. And then it kind of dried up till 96. Had a bad experience at the convention in 96 and didn't return to any of them until 2001. 2001, I've been at a convention until this pandemic pretty much consistently. 2 a year until we added Historicon onto the tour in 2006. And then it's 3 conventions a year: 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and then 20, you know, we all know what happened there. And 21 too, right? Yeah, I didn't go to any shows last year. I don't need to go. I don't need to go to shows to play games. I play enough games, you know. Mostly just to hang out with people. So, Ancients were a big thing back in the 1970s. They were complicated for sure. DBA was a clean break except for the base sizes. You like one pose miniatures for periods in the age of musketry. Okay. I agree with you. That works. I think the professional armies having the troops all lined up in one pose looks the part to me. I would agree with you. Yep. But, you know, it wouldn't work with like feudal knights when, you know, not only does everybody have a different crest, but who knows what they show up with. But luckily, I didn't have to have that. I didn't have to go through those tribulations because I didn't know about it. I didn't know about it. Okay, I think this guy's done. This guy's number 5. Number 5 is alive. Number 5 is alive. Okay. Next, same coat. This guy's going to have a different colored coat. We're going to have this one more brownish. More brownish. And let's just go ahead and use that SS Camo Black as the base for that. And we're going to hop right in and do the... Well, if we're going to have a dark color coat, we're going to have a white color undershirt. So let's go ahead and do that. And we'll mix it with brown. Trying to avoid analysis paralysis. You know, it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter what color I paint these guys as long as I mix them up so that they look irregular. There's no point in spending a ton of time thinking about it because it's not really that important. It'll all work out in the end. And of course the sleeves. Yeah, let's add a little bit more white. Start bringing that up. Okay, just a tiny little bit of white in a few places. I'm fine if it's got some of that brown undertone in it. Okay, now let's do that brown coat we were talking about. You know what, let's clean this up. I've got too many brushes over here hanging out. Just needs to go over it. I'm not prepared to bend over today. We save those things for tomorrow. I don't bend over on the weekend. Lose this, lose that. And this the one is all yucky. Let's use it. So I got a big roll here. All right. SS Camel Black, which is just kind of like a really dark brown. So this will be like the pelt of a boar or something, or a bear, or who knows what. Some brown furry creature. Heavy on the fur. I didn't put very much of that stuff down there. I use that SS Camel Black for the base color of painting leather items. Yeah, should work fine. I use it quite a bit. It's the original one. See if we could make a mess here. All right. So I've had this thing over 10 years. Easily. I ended up selling a bunch of my hobby stuff, miniature stuff I hadn't used in a decade. About 20 years ago, I guess. You know what, though? These paints are 20 years old. Wow. I didn't realize that. Well, and I use those funds to just buy these paints. Because, I mean, why would I have every Vallejo color made? Well, because they were, you know, those little water bottles. And at the time when I got them, that was kind of a new thing. Now lots of different companies do them. But I'd never sit around and buy that many colors. But as you can see, some of the colors I won't have to buy again because I've never rebought this color. The colors that I use for like the basing, they're the ones that get rebought. I bought the black and the white again. A couple of the browns, maybe the flesh tone. You know, bought them once in, 20 years. So they'll last a long time when you're painting these tiny little things that don't take a lot of paint to begin with. That means I got some paints that are 35 years old. 32? Yeah, close to 35. I got some Games Workshop, or Citadels they were called back then, that are that old. I use very little paint. Now, what happens if I just start adding white to this color? I like it. All right, that's what we're going to do. white. Kind of like a wet dry brush, so to speak. Have to go. Have a good evening. You too, Harvey. See you soon. All right, let's add a little bit more white. All right. Let's add a little bit more. All right, we're going to leave that be as it is. Let's go ahead and do a face. And let me check one thing. Let me make sure. We don't need that. Okay, perfect. Okay. All right, facial time. Of course, we don't have any of the facial colors, which is red leather and sunny skin tone. All right. What time is it? 20 to 6. Yeah, I could use a boost of caffeine right about now. And it won't keep me up all night. I'll just wake up a bunch of different times, have really interesting dreams. All right, now I think we're gonna ditch this thing. When this thing, this one right here. You definitely know about interesting dreams. Of course you are. Taco Bell nightmares. Welcome, Rick. Mr. Blue Jeep himself. Oh man, I would have come unglued. I always thought it was really silly that people would have a vehicle and it would say anywhere on the vehicle, where it's on the headliner, on the grill. They'll have those strips there, like at the bottom of the door. You'll usually see them on Mustangs, right at the bottom of the door. It says Mustang on it. Like, no shit. Why do you got to say it's a Mustang? I mean, it's kind of obvious. It doesn't look like anything else. But you've got all that information about a Bronco, and then they call it a blue Jeep. Oh man, that's what you get for having Scottish food. People, I guess people don't know a lot about cars. I went to some event the other day, and well, not the other day. You know, I guess it was the other day. It was a couple weeks ago, whatever. And I pulled up to drop off some coffees or whatever. I was going to park. It was a running type event or whatever. And I was dropping off some coffees over at with one of the ladies that my wife works with, and she goes, and her boss goes, "Oh, what car is this?" And I'm like, is this like, what do you say? Is this a Volkswagen? And I wanted to say, do you see a Volkswagen symbol on the hood? I mean, it's like, the Volkswagen symbol is not a little constellation with stars on it. I guess just some people just don't pay attention, you know? I feel your pain, Rick. I feel your pain. Rick went into a drive-thru and they wrote down on his receipt that he was in a blue Jeep, but he drives a Bronco that you spent, a couple years waiting on or something like that. I think you had to have it made specifically for you. Because, of course, the Broncos come out at the same time that, there's a shortage of everything. So it took forever and a day for them to come out. But I think that shortage on the vehicles, I think that's with us for, I'm not going to say forever, but I don't see a big incentive for a manufacturer of vehicles to just lift that, because right now they're selling everything, so why would they want to? I think that shortage of chips or a shortage of manpower or a shortage of whatever is, I think that's going to be with us for, I expect it to be for the rest of my car buying lifetime. I hope I'm wrong, but I remember when we were looking at cars because our leases were coming up in December of 2019. No, I got to get the right year. I forget that we're in 22. So this would have been, our leases were up in they came due in July of last year, July of 21. So in December of 20, so like about 6 months in advance, we start looking at, what next cars were, because we lease, just, what's available. And there's like nothing available, and there's a shortage of everything. And I went to one dealership and they only had 2 vehicles and they were both a year old. And, it's just like, everything's upside down. It's just a really weird experience, Twilight Zone kind of experience. And, they got used vehicles going for more than new ones. It just does, everything's upside down. So hopefully things can get back to how they were before, sooner rather than later. It's kind of the seller's market right now. Nothing in the showroom, people selling vehicles before you even show up for a test drive, Not buying a vehicle before I test drive it, sorry. That's way too big of a risk. Okay. Let's add a little bit more of the fleshy bits color. Going to be a long slog to get back to normal if we ever get there. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be back to normal. I think 9/11 kind of set a precedent for things aren't going to come back to how they were. There's so many things that 9/11 did that we'll never get back. And I think this has just been another one of those. And, it's kind of disappointing that a lot of people aren't upset about it. Aircraft, flying an aircraft. Are we ever going to be able to fly an aircraft without masks? I don't think so. I think that's here to stay. And it's just disappointing that, this litigiousness. Just to use as an example, I had there's a theme park that we go to frequently. We've been to many times, and we're big theme park fans. And there's a theme park that we've frequented throughout the years. It's called Universal Studios. And actually, it's two parks that are side by side here in Florida. And about 10 years ago, they installed this thing of, when you're riding on roads, they installed this thing of metal detectors. And I'm not talking about metal detectors of going through the front door. They have those. But they have other special metal detectors that you have to go through before you go on a ride. And that's basically, so you can't, if you've got a belt or something on like that, it's going to freak the thing out. You can't have any loose change. You can't have a wallet. You can't have sunglasses. You can't have any of this stuff. And what brought that about was there was a couple of, it was a tandem roller coaster. It was called Dueling Dragons at the time. And it was one of those roller coasters where your feet dangle, right? And there's 4 people across, and there's 2 of them. There's like a red one and a blue one. And they would supposedly race together. So they would load both of them in 2 different bays, and they would go up the climb together. And there were certain places where it looked like they interlocked, and they got really close to each other. So supposedly what happened is some nickel or something like that fell out of someone's pocket and hit someone else and put their eye out or hurt them severely. It's sad, it's a tragedy, but, the lawyers got involved in, there's the Morgan and Morgan lawyers that are supposedly local, but they're everywhere. The lawyer conspiracy came in and, and nailed these people and nailed Universal Studios to the cross. This is what I understand is what happened. So now it's a big deal, you got to have everything and put everything in lockers, and there's a big jam up of people, and you got to get your lockers, and you kind of come in and you got to come back in 50 minutes or they charge you for all this drama because one person got their eye put out by a nickel. And I get it. It's a tragedy. I don't want to but at some point, if this keeps happening and everything, we won't have any rights. It's just, it's annoying that things like that happen, It used to be that freak accidents would happen, and it's like, well, it's a freak accident. Now it's like, every time something happens, and this will happen in your workplace, this will happen when you're working, some freak accident will happen, and we got to have a meeting, and all this litigious crap, and we have to have this new policy about this one infinitesimally small thing that can happen, how we need to change everybody's behavior. And it's just like, that's how everything has been in the last, seems like 30 years. Ever since we got out of the 90s for sure, maybe out of the 80s. Maybe it was around before then, I just wasn't aware of it. But it's annoying as shit, you know? And the problem is that that's it. You're never going to go back to how it was before, you know? And I use the 9/11 thing. You know, before 9/11, you could take your loved ones to the airport and drop them off at the gate. And I'm not saying that's a big deal, but you're never going to get that back. You could kill every terrorist in the universe. You're never going to get that back because there's this team of the litigiousness will just like, well, on the off chance it could happen, we can't do it because they'll want to sue the hell out of us. So I think we need to stop suing and going back to like duels. I think that humanity would probably be better off if we could just like put all the lawyers out of business. And sorry that you're not allowed to be a lawyer anymore. You now have to officiate duels. Duels will be between 3 and 4 p.m. in the parking lot, minimum of 10 paces, and you can officiate those things from now on. Oh, man. That was a horrible day. I remember that like it's yesterday. I really do. And I had never even been in New York before then. I didn't know anybody from there. But yeah, it was pretty intense. It's the same with cancel culture being allowed to cancel anyone who has an opinion on something. It really bothers me. Well, yeah, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to apply to those rules. Yeah, you can cancel me if you want. You're not going to shut me up. I'm still kind of... I just want to be left alone, man. Just leave me alone. You know, it's not temporary that's the problem. You know, I get it. It'd be like if you did the World War II thing, right? All right, well, you can't sell women's nylons or whatever. What was the thing that was rationed back then? You know, and then, you know, it's all the way through 1945. And we get to like 1957 and you're wondering like, why can you still not buy these? Well, because of, you know, you can't go back to normal things. So. Oh, well. That's why we play these silly games, right? So we don't have to worry about all the annoying things that happen in this world that you can't do anything about. All right. We got this guy painted up. What are we doing next? Oh, the bow. Let's bring the bow to life. Oh, desert yellow. Don't have it here because we moved it. You've been mixing it with black, each one of them. I mix yellowish colors with black about half the time. Sometimes I mix them with brown. It just depends how much contrast I want to give them. You get better contrast with black. It's more severe, but I do both depending on what I feel like, depending on whim. Ton of Ton of these little guys running around. Like a bunch of cockroaches. 6 Soloi. That's... Well, I have another army that has 6 Soloi. I'd rather like them. 6 Soloi, 6 Knights. The Alpha and the Omega. And they've actually been pretty successful. I don't remember what the record is right off the bat. That's the Ostrogoths. And I could tell you that the games they've lost, it hasn't been because the Soloi got killed. It's been because the Knights get all cocky and, and get surrounded. I don't know that I've lost many games because I got too many Soloi killed. Wish they weren't called Knights. I wish they were called Impact Cavalry. That's really what they are. Impact Mounted. So it should be Skirmishers. Just the auxilia term doesn't really bother me, although there should be, medium infantry. All right. So the good news is once this guy's painted, they're half painted. And then that's a significant, what do you call it? Mile marker, I was going to call it. A significant milestone. It's getting half of these guys painted. All right. That bow's done. Let's do the bow case on this guy. Obviously, we're not going to use the same color. Mix it up a little bit. We could probably use this red leather and be perfectly happy with it. I'm actually going to use the quick restroom break. And I'll be right back, and that'll give me a chance to use, let's see, this little graphics. And that'll let you know that, hey, I'll be right back. Your computer hasn't frozen. All right, folks, here we're back again. I left and more people are here than when I was. I guess you guys like looking at the little intermission thing. I caught up on the Persian video that was War Wagon or a massive cake on a cart. Yeah, it was kind of like a massive cake on a cart. You made a food run. Oh, perfect. I just went to go use the bathroom, and the people that have been away all day came back in. So I'm still going to go a little bit. I'm still going to go a little bit further. We're on a roll here. We're on a roll. We got some folks here. I'm awake. I'm almost out of tea, but I can do it. All right, so we're going to do the bow case. The bow case. All right. I guess at some point I need to stay ahead of the game and order those the replacement brushes when I get a chance to, because I got a couple of them on Amazon I've been looking at. I think they're from Germany or whatever. They're want to avoid buying brushes that are made you know where. So, to the kitchen. Pork and sauerkraut with mashed potatoes and corn. I would share, but forget that. Ha! Yeah. Sounds good. I like all that stuff right there. I like most food except some weird stuff that people eat across the world, like no, I'm not going to go into it. I'm creeped out by weird meats. Nothing that's vegetarian really is I have a problem with. And it's not that I'm a vegetarian, but there's weird animal parts that I'm just not going to put in my mouth. So. Pork isn't one of them. And I'm not really a picky eater because my mom was a pain in the ass about you got to eat everything on your plate and you got to try it and you got to eat it even if you don't like it. And, you know, at the time it sucked, but it's handy now because, you know, somebody will go, hey, you want to eat Indian food? And I'm like, sure, you know, or whatever, you know, not like, I only eat this and that and the other thing and I don't eat vegetables and, you know. I'll even eat a rutabaga. Doesn't scare me. So no haggis. Hell no. No. I had a friend of mine that said Scottish food was created on a dare. Or as I like to say, McDonald's, as crappy as it is still the best Scottish food. No Scottish food. I mean, there's probably Scottish food that I like. But, you know, that typical thing, no. English breakfast? Yeah, half the things on the plate, but I'm not eating. You know, I like everything. I don't like baked beans. That's the only bean I don't like. And I'm not eating that black pudding crap. No. Yeah, I don't even have an American breakfast every day, but, you know, there's nothing wrong with that, so. Oh, man. When in doubt, fall back on olive oil and bread. Nothing wrong with that. And there's just some things I'm just not going to eat out of principle. I'm not eating snails. I'm sorry. I don't give a shit how good you think you are. I'm just not going to. I'm not eating frogs. They're my friends. Me and frogs are tight. They're out there eating bugs. I don't need to be eating them. I'm not eating my friend the turtle either. You don't doubt Scottish food was created on a dare and whiskey was created to keep the Irish from ruling the world. Yeah, well, I like whiskey. And I say that not as a drunk. I just, I enjoy that. Though I did have a couple sips yesterday, but I don't even drink every week. So I'm not very Irish, I guess. But I like the idea of it. But I'll tell you what, this is the time of year where I can handle actually having whiskey with no ice in it. Because most of the time it's just scaldingly hot here. I don't drink anything without ice, but it's been gray all day long in the 50s or cooler. What is it right now? 48, yeah. So, I enjoyed Burr's Night. Love haggis. Well, you can have my serving of it. I've seen pictures of it. I'm like, dear God, no. No. It's a shame. It's a shame that that is what Scotland is known for in the food department. I'm sure there's plenty of food in Scotland that is, would be fine, but that's, maybe it just has the bad reputation. They just assume that everything is like that. Okay. Beard colors. That guy's brown, light brown. Okay, this guy's brown. Let's do this guy. Let's give this guy a lighter color more than anything else. He's gonna have a dark beard, so let's give him a lighter color beard. Maybe not blonde. It looks kind of out of place with these guys. I know there's blonde people down there, but well, let's just start painting and see where it takes us. I don't have a very definitive agenda exactly where we need to go with him. Doesn't say on this guy's birth certificate what he is, so. This guy actually has like an ear that is poking in between all the massive hair this guy has. So we'll go ahead and paint that little bit of his ear here in a moment. That's what I did with the other figure. I just did it. I didn't even talk about it. Didn't even talk about it. All right. His hat. We'll do a light gray one on this dude. Again, we don't have that light gray color on the other one that was on the other palette. Did I not leave it out? Yeah, I did. Here it is. This is a nice color. Not getting any notifications. Maybe it just was acting wonky in the morning. Now, there's that warning of the bit rate. I guess it's okay. Where did I get my wet palette? So I got it from a vendor at one of our shows. And I don't remember when. I think it was the September show in 2018. I think that's when it was. It was just a vendor that came to our show. I think they were from like Melbourne or something like that. I forget who they are. But it is available on the internet. I'm not sure if it's on eBay or Amazon. But the one I use, and there's many of them like that. This was before Army Painter came out with theirs. This one's called the Everlasting Wet Palette, and made by Redgrass Games. And I think this was something that was done as a not a fundraiser. You know, the thing that you do where you promise that you're going to buy it, and then you do, they'll notify you. Whatever it's called, a Kickstarter. It was a Kickstarter, and it was $50, which is pretty pricey, but not anymore. I mean, I've used it every time. That there's a difference between something that costs $50 to use once and something $50 that you use every single time you paint. So this is, it comes with a wet palette, and it comes with this little rubber band, which is freaking useless. Because, well, I'm not going to travel with this thing. Here it is. Here's the little rubber band on here. It comes with these rolling papers. A whole pack of these, 50 of these hydration papers. Well, they had to give it a fancy name. I don't know if it's just that baking stuff, but it's cut into the shape of it. How many of those I got left? Maybe 8 or so? I'm going to have to buy some on the internet. I don't want to cut my own. I mean, I don't mind giving these people the business. I've certainly used it, but you know, I know Army Painter one is really prominent. Army Painter does a good job of having their stuff all over the world scattered. I don't know if these guys are even a presence anymore, but this is the one I used because at the time, well, I had made one. I'd made one using a sponge and a container, like a sandwich container I had probably from the 1970s or maybe even from the 1960s. This old school Tupperware, and it's one of those you could fit a sandwich in, so it's about this size, and I had a sponge that was in there, but the sponge wasn't dense like this. It had, the holes in it, like a regular sponge that you use to, wash dishes or something like that. So this one's a lot better because you have more of the water sitting on the surface. It's able to touch more spots on this and keep it moist. So this is better. I just on a whim, I'm like, well, I didn't buy anything at that show. I'm like, I can't come back empty-handed. So yeah, I did the right thing. I should have bought it a long time ago, but I don't know that they were in common use a while ago. Or I certainly didn't hear about them more than, I'm talking about around the 2000s. I don't know anybody that was using one back then. But yeah, it just helps being able to continually use, like this color here. If I would have put that one earlier without a wet palette, this red leather, I would have to keep adding to it because it's going to dry out on me. And here it's still there, so certainly you can put some painting and it's good for 1 or 2 days for sure. So I don't have to stop what I'm doing and mix up another color, or go and grab the paint. It's more of a time saver than anything else. Again, it's not necessarily a necessary thing because I didn't start using one until maybe 5 years ago. Before that, I used to have a little tile, a little plastic shim that was maybe 3 inches by 3 inches that was black, and I would just mix on there. And I used to use like the top of Pringles containers before, just to kind of do my layering mix. So thought about either making one or buying one. I've always had great results without one, but I want to learn some more advanced techniques that require a wet palette. I don't know that I'm doing anything that requires a wet palette other than keeping it on there. I know there's other techniques, but I'm kind of happy the way I do things. I don't really want my painting style to change. It's annoying to then change it and then your armies don't look consistent. So I've painted pretty consistently since about 1997, the same style. So I'm pretty happy with that. It just allows me to not have all the different stuff on here. But yeah, definitely experiment. I'm not opposed to giving the army painted one. I think is available to be had for $30 or maybe even under $30. So I think it's money well spent. Assuming it's not a pile of crap. I don't think that it is, but it wasn't available when I got mine. You know, everybody was when I got mine. I had heard about wet palettes, and everybody was making their own. So. You go to any place that has army painter paints, and they should have them there. Unless you have a local store that's always out of stock on stuff, which we have one of those. I don't go. You can't support your local store if they don't have anything in the store to buy, you know. And this was like even before the pandemic. Okay, we got pants to do here. We got a guy who has blue pants way back here that we did at the beginning, right? This guy, this clown with the blue pants. I'm going to give this guy blue pants too. The clown with the blue pants. As Mitch would say, oh, again with the clowns. Like he's scared of them or something. And bad childhood experience with clowns. Don't touch me there. There's a local game store that has some stuff, but the store is not the one I want to support for personal reasons. Huh? Don't support them then. I'm not even going to ask what your personal reasons are. You have a reason to do it. There's places I don't support. There's products I don't buy for my own reasons. I'm not going to put them out of business, but I don't need to go there. There's brands of things that I don't buy because of whatever reason. There's countries I don't like to buy things from. One guess which one that is. I mean, if my life depended on it, I'd buy something from there. But, if I have choices, I'm going to not buy stuff from there. I'm going to determine, I really don't need this that badly. So. Yeah, I'm all for not supporting places you don't support, for sure. Two of those things is double whammy on my brushes. So the brushes, I don't want to buy brushes from China. Oh, I'm sorry, I gave away who it was. And I don't want to buy brushes from Walmart because I don't go to either one of those two places. Walmart pissed me off about 4 or 5 years ago, and I haven't been back. And I really don't want to buy, cheap. I don't care that they're cheap ass. I just don't want to buy brushes from China. I can afford to buy brushes that are more expensive. I'm not going through them that much. I'm not showing off like, hey, I bought all Winsor & Newton. I bought 50 Winsor & Newton brushes. No, I'm not doing that. But, I can buy, why don't they make, Italian brushes, right? I mean, surely they paint things in Italy. I mean, think about it, you know. But the ones I tracked down, like I think a brush pack was like $20 or $25 or something like that. They're from Germany. They're supposedly Sable or something like that. I don't know. I bookmarked them on my thing. I'll do, if I ever do end up getting it, I'll do a review. So if you guys are interested in doing that, but you know, I don't want to buy products from China, and I don't want to set foot in a Walmart. So, which is where I was getting them. They were a good deal. Don't get me wrong. It was like 10 brushes for like $3.80 or something like that. So yeah, last time I went in there, I bought like 5 or 6 brushes, and then they pulled a fast one and pissed me off, and I don't go in the store again. You know. So, anywho, you have a rule about clowns. I destroy all clowns on the off chance that one of them turns out to be Pennywise. I've never seen that. But when I was a kid, I was just scared of clowns because I didn't want their makeup to get on me. You know, but what? That's it. I mean, I've never seen that, and I guess I should sit down and watch it, and just to see what that big hubbub's about. Just to see what the big hubbub's about. I don't get clowns. I don't get dolls. Why people? Oh, look at those dolls. Look at that face. It looks like it's watching me. Really? Come on, dude. People just looking for things to be scared of. But I don't watch horror, so, you know. I don't like the startle crap, you know, startle you. That's like stress inducing, so I don't need that in my life. I don't need that in my life. You got any left here? A trickle and a dribble. Let's lighten this up one little bit. Hold on. 1 second, folks. Okay. So we watched the 2 movies that came out in the last couple years. They are more close to the book. Now, see, that's one thing I could possibly do. I could possibly read the books on Audible. I've got lots of Audible credits, and I don't know about nonfiction. I've certainly read some nonfiction. I don't know about fiction. I've certainly read some fiction things that I like, but I don't remember right off the bat what they are. But Like there's lots of fiction stuff that's like semi-historical stuff. Like there's a bunch of novels that could involve like Roman Empire stuff with like make-believe characters. I just don't know where to start, or if I would even like that. I like reading things that are gonna invigorate me to do wargaming. I remember when I was a wee child. I guess I was 9. It was in 4th grade. They had a little station. What would this have been? This would have been 4th grade, 9, 1980, 1981. One of those 2 years, something like that. And they had a little station you could go, and they had like the tape recorders with the tape in the headphone station or whatever. And one of the things, and and they didn't have anything really cool in there except they had this one author called Edgar Allan Poe, and I didn't know anything about Edgar Allan Poe. It was horror-ish or whatever, so I'm like, all right, well, I'll listen to one of them. And they had a little tape, and the book that they had on there, and it was an audible tape. It was basically a book that's being read to you or whatever, and I think it had sound effects in it as well. Some mild sound effects in there, but it was basically someone reading it to you in a creepy-ish voice. And the book that they had was Mask of the Red Death, and I remember going through that, and it scared the living shit out of me when I was that age. And it wasn't even. I've seen the movie, but the movie's not very creepy. But just being read to me was really creepy, and I was also 9 years old, so that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, it's funny the things that you remember from being a kid, and that was one of the ones I remember in 4th grade. They had the little station in the back there with the. I think they had two machines, and I forget when you could go back there. I think during recess, or maybe there was. I don't know. I don't remember those details, but I do remember Mask of the Red Death. Other horror, I've never read any Stephen King stuff. I've watched a couple of the movies. I finally saw The Shining for the first time within the last 5 years and was like, what's the big deal? I mean, it was like, I don't want to watch that ever again. It was like my waste of my life. Now, the movie I did see twice in the movie theater that was Stephen King was Misery. I remember loving Misery. But I wouldn't call that a horror movie. I'd call that a thriller, and I like thrillers, but the supernatural crap, yeah, I don't need any of that in my life. Try Bernard Cornwell. He writes historical fiction. Okay, we'll look and see what he does. Bernard Cornwell. Where's my pen? Bernard Cornwell. I'm sure if I get the Bernard. The name sounds familiar. I haven't read any of his stuff, but the name sounds familiar. Yeah, but I don't want to see supernatural, demonic crap. The problem with demonic crap is you can't kill it with fire. You just make it more powerful. So, one of your forms of destroying something is actually amplifies its power. Well, I don't know if that's the case, but if I'm writing it, that's how it would be. I mean, Yeah. You don't use a flamethrower on a fire-breathing dragon. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just, make it more powerful. No, don't do horror. I did in high school had a friend of mine who had this thing for horror books, and Clive Barker, and I read a couple of his books of blood, which are a couple little short story type things. But other than that, I haven't read much fiction to begin with, and I haven't really read any horror. So. He writes the Richard Sharp series that takes place in the Napoleonic Wars and the Last Kingdom series, amongst others. Well, the Last Kingdom series has got to be better than the show. I didn't like the show. The problem with the show is I don't like the guy that cast as the main character. I didn't like him at all. He just, he just wasn't somebody I wanted to see more of. You know, like, that's what I say when I didn't like him at all. It doesn't mean he didn't do a good job as an actor. I just didn't like. I didn't want to look at him the whole time. You know, so I was watching that. I saw the first season, couldn't get into the second one, and I guess there's more than 2 seasons now. But I was watching that at the same time as the Vikings show, and they're both like the same time period within a generation, and I've gotten confused as to which one's, like, remembering a scene and forgetting which one of the 2 shows it's in. So all right, is this guy done? No, we got to paint his ears. Don't forget his ears. I'd suggest his Grail series, which takes place during the 100 Years' War. I like that one a lot. Cool. Interesting. Thanks for the recommendation. Which I got tons of credits. I don't know if I'll take you up. I'll take a look. You know, the thing is if you've done Audible, they have lots of stuff on there. But if they have a narrator that's terrible, you're screwed, because most books, unless it's something like really, really common, they only have one version of it with one narrator. So if the narrator is no good, you're up a creek, you know. And there's one narrator on there. There's at least, well, there's many, but there's one guy in particular. I won't ever get another book from him narrating, because he's just god awful. And he does a lot of ancients and medieval. I don't know if he does medieval stuff, but he does ancient stuff. He's like prolific. You know, this guy's everywhere, and he's terrible. His pronunciations are distractingly bad, and his meter is off. It's just hard to listen to, you know. And I've done, I think, a couple or 3 books by him, and I'm like, I'm not doing another one. I'm not putting up with this guy again. And you'll look at the comments that they have on his narration, and yeah, I'm not alone. There's a few, there's quite a few people that aren't doing the same thing. He has this accent that's just so weird. It seems like some uppity English accent, which I don't have a problem with, except he's not uppity or English. He's some guy that's out in Washington State or something like that. Maybe he just smoked too much of that stuff on there and wants to act like he's from another, continent. I don't know. But his pronunciation's all bad, and mispronounces the hell out of words. So, okay. I'm calling this dude done. That's 6. And is that all the guys with the coat? No. I still have one more. Oh, let's see. Okay, well. Have to see who ends up actually narrating some of his stuff. But they have lots of like Roman historical stuff, historical fiction stuff. Lots of stuff that are written relatively recently, and but I don't know if they're worth a damn or anything, or if they would appeal. I really don't want to listen to something that's just heavy on the politics and stuff like that. It's not something I'm really interested in. And the thing about historical fiction is it's good to read historical fiction about a period that you're familiar with, so that you don't hear so that you can tell the difference of what really happened and what has been added on by the author. Because otherwise, if you don't know, then that might be like you know, you might think something's accurate and it isn't. So, I guess the picture quality is still good. Okay, I got a mini feed here. I wonder what the hell that does. Oh, shouldn't have touched that. Okay, this gets bigger. Okay. I gotta get me some more tea if I'm gonna start another one. So, bear with me. I will be right back. Okay, we're back. It's you have to do that with documentaries as well. Absolutely. Especially if the History Channel made the documentary. They're notorious for being inaccurate. Yeah. Yeah, they'll show the wrong footage. I can't watch World War II documentaries. They just make me want to punch the TV. Well, they're not geared for me. That stuff's not... So here's the last guy. I've got till 7 o'clock. We're going to be on here till 7 o'clock. That's another 19 minutes. So let's see what we can get done in 19 minutes with this clown. Oh, again with the clowns. All right, so this guy had a brownish type of undershirt. We have a white one, a red one. Let's do, we're going to do a light, that light green, that sea green color. Let's do that sea green color. Nope, that's not the one. I see it, it's right over here. Hanging out on the other area that has the green. Got it. Light green blue. Yeah, sea green. One of those Western approaches colors that they painted those destroyers in 1940. Western approaches schemes for the British destroyers. Commonwealth ones, so. Send in the clowns. Hey kids, you want any candy? Nope. Maybe it's more blue than green. This is the color I was thinking about anyway, so we'll put this thing away. We don't need very much of that. Or was it this one? Nope. No, that was the correct one. It's the starting point. Starting point for whatever color I'm gonna use. It's not like I use them straight out of the bottle. We tinker with them. Let's come over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we're halfway done with these silly Saloy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm missing a guy. Where the hell did he go? Oh, he's over here. Okay, he's not part of this group. Meaning he doesn't have one of these coats on. Let's go a little darker than that. You know what I've had enough with? I've had enough of this time change. The fact that it's not even 7 o'clock. It is pitch black. And it's even worse than that up in Pennsylvania. That's just stupid. This definitely has affected my bedtime. I go to sleep a lot earlier in the wintertime when there's less light than I do when there'll be times where it's like, man, I'm ready to go to bed. It's not even 6 o'clock. Just pick one time and leave it alone. Stop tinkering with it. I don't even care which one they pick. I prefer the summer one. Otherwise, you end up going to work in the dark and coming back in the dark too. All right, let's add more of this core color. And now I could probably just use this colors just straight. Tell me about it. I don't like this daylight. I don't get this daylight savings. All it does is mess with things and what an annoyance. Yeah, if you just leave it alone, then what is it, like 2 minutes every day? It changes. So, when it starts getting darker, it changes by 2 minutes every day. Not like 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, boom, an hour. Like, what the hell, Still ended up turning up almost like a white shirt, but there's some green blue in there. If they end up being right next to each other, you'll be able to tell the difference. So the coat color, that one's dark, that one's middle, that one's light. I'm gonna make this one Well, it's going to have to be a dark one because the shirt underneath it was light. So we're going to go with, what is this brown one we just painted? This guy right here. We're going to use this SS camo again, but we're going to do something a little bit different with it. I'm going to start at the same point, though. We're going to get the whole thing all in this dark color. And I'm going to modify it on the fly. It's basically that cold and dark here early. Your nuts freeze off, so you want to go to bed. Well, you up in, are you in kilt country, or are you right there on the border? I think you're right there on the border, if I remember correctly. Land o' kilts. I ain't wearing one of them things. Well, that's not my people. That's no reason to, you know. You don't see me dressed up like one of those Venetian, the people that pilot those damn, oh man, I'm getting old. I'm not getting old. I'm just forgetting stuff anymore. The gondola. I'm not going to dress up like an Italian gondola pilot, so, you know. I don't think I'll be wearing a kilt ever. Not my people. Not my problem. My ancestors didn't wear dresses. Pantyhose, yes, during that time period, I guess. I guess everybody did wear those. But I ain't wearing no freaking dress. Yes, the cold part of England. Okay, you're right there on the border, over there with John Carter. Over in John Carter land. Cool. I don't mean the John Carter character. I mean the guy that comes by, John Carter. I don't think I saw him today. Maybe he had something important to do instead of watching some person ramble on about random things. Well, if I dressed... Gondolas, yep. Well, if I dressed up like my people, you would all be running for the hills. I'm from Viking and Germanic stock. I don't know. Did they do some... They did Viking raids in Spain. And not as much as other places. It was more of a trek to get there. Speaking of Vikings, I think I heard the other day that, I don't know whether it was in jest, but they were talking about changing the names of all the Viking teams because, you know, they're... We don't have enough problems in this country, man. People just come up with issues. It's like, man, we don't have enough problems. Let's see what we can be offended by. Because the Vikings were offensive. Oh, well. What else is new? Oh, I know what I was going to do. So when I get to this point there, I'm going to add some of this light gray and mix it in. I don't know if it's going to make much of a difference, but it'll be a different take on it. Okay, and now we'll add white to that. How are we doing on time? I think about 7 minutes. All right. I'm sure they did. The Vikings went all over the place. Anybody but home. They had women that wanted to give them too big of a honeydew list. It's like, we're out of here. I'm offended that those people are offended by my ancestors. Yeah. I'd rather just forget about those people that are offended. What people? Okay. I think I'm just going to do a touch more of this. And let's see if we can't get the parts that would really pop to pop. Okay. Let's go ahead and do his fleshy bits now. Gregory Pomfret, welcome. You're impressed by a painting of the facial features of the archer last night. Faces being the worst part of my figure painting. You know, I was scared of, when I was doing 1/35th scale tanks in the early 90s, I was scared of painting the faces on the people. You know, and then in the process of doing 15 millimeter, I came up with a system that works for me. Is it perfect? No. Are there people that do better faces than me? Sure. Am I happy with the ones I do? Absolutely. You know, so I've been successful with it, and it's been pretty easy to do. Sometimes the hardest thing to do on a face is when some sculptor decides to give him these bug eyes that stick out. And you're screwed because you have to paint them because they're so large you have to paint them. And you know, they may be, you know, crooked or what have you. So that is generally the exception to the rule. That is not the case for most of them. But if you get blessed with one of these figures that you have to paint that has bug eyes, and a couple of my horde figures that I have that issue. They look very cartoonish, and you know, I'm over it. You know, I just had to do it anyways. So, yes.
Am I good to play music?
Hmm.
Am I good to play music?
If you could hold off, I've got another 3 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
Just knock on the door when you're done.
You got it. Yep. And I don't know what the hell I was saying, but anyhow, I don't mind doing faces. And you know, some figures just really bug eye. I got some horde figures in my some of those horde figures are less than illustrious figures to paint, but they paint up okay. But they still have, you know, weird. They have very inbred features. Decades of being inbred. They're very strange looking. So, but they paint up okay. But in the process of painting, you're wondering, am I really going in the correct direction with this? And yeah, I actually I like painting faces because the flesh parts, because it brings the figure to life. You know, that's when it starts looking like it could be a person. And you know, I enjoy it. I enjoy horses too. I never painted a single horse until 2004 because I never did anything that involved horses. I never did any kind of wargaming or miniatures that was of a period where horses had any significance whatsoever. I mean, sure, there was horses in World War II, but how many people are painting field kitchens? You know, horse-drawn field kitchens and stuff like that. You know, nobody does that stuff. So, looking forward to the basing. Yeah, that's what really brings these figures apart. These figures that only have two figures on a stand. These stands that only have two figures on a stand really come to life when with the basing. You really do. And we're gonna have one more shade on top of this, or two, that when I add the white. But we're gonna have to leave that for next time because we're out of time. But how long were we on here? A couple hours? Almost 2 hours. Yeah. So painting session number 2 on Sunday. So you guys got a good dose of chit chat. So anyhow, thanks for stopping by, folks, and we'll catch you next time. Happy painting, and should have a video that we'll film tomorrow. We'll see how quick I can get that one out, and after editing and so forth. But thanks for stopping by.